specific questions when we bring this stuff up, let us know and we'll talk through it. A lot of times if we just problem solve, we can come up with some answers. So you want to talk about
Yeah, you know, and that's the thing too, there are no silly questions or anything like that. Any question is a good question. Body mechanics and why they're important is to prevent you from getting injuries. You know, it's not always possible, but we want to go out of our way to prevent as much injuries as possible so that you can work safely and work comfortably. So probably the biggest thing that Julie's pointing at is our back, and that's one of the things when we're lifting and when we're transferring people, we want to keep up good body mechanics, keep our back in alignment, keep our heads up. And probably the biggest thing is when we're working with people is positioning. So Julie and I are going to cover, you know, transferring people from in bed and using good proper body mechanics and when you're transferring people, rolling them. I know with rolling people, there's some people that are easy to roll. A lot of people are harder to roll. They have those lift sheets in there, and I just love those because you can use those lift sheets and you're not pulling on a person. If you are rolling somebody in bed, you want to be rolling on their shoulder and then also on their hip, which are the good solid points to pick up, to push on a person to pull towards you. You want to have the bed at a good height. Anyway, I'm kind of getting ahead of you. One of the things that we were talking about.
I'm going, oh my God, you're way down at the bottom of the list.
But anyway, we want to kind of start out kind of
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, just really quick. We're pretty informal, and I think it helps you because then you could smile a little bit, but it makes you more comfortable to say something. And we want you to ask questions. We want you to feel comfortable because this is for you guys and to help you. And so please, ask questions, and again, we're pretty informal.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, we were kind of talking about, you know, basically, you know, how you start your day out. And one of the things that used to be.
Sorry.
Okay.
What we decided to do today is, you know, we've came in before and we'll talk about this and then we talk about this. And what we want to do is start at the beginning of the day where everybody starts working, and let's follow it down. What do you do? How do you approach the patient? When do you do that? And down to position or to transferring and breakfast. And so we thought, well, maybe that would help a little bit, and maybe we can cover more stuff than just jumping around.
Yeah.
So I
No, you know, and then too, you know, like the people that come on at 2:30, you know, their day is a little bit different than the people that came in at 6:30 this morning too. So, but one of the things I want to touch on, that used to be more common so years ago, but I mean it's still something that we really need to think about, is that just like when you start the car up and it's 20 below zero, you need to let it warm up. In our bodies too, you're basically like athletes out there. You're doing a lot of movements, you're doing a lot of physical activity, and so we need to warm our bodies up a little bit too. So one of the things that I know, I've worked at 1 or 2 nursing homes where they had an exercise program in the morning and just kind of a stretching program just to get our bodies warmed up a little bit. You know, probably one of the biggest things are our backs. You know, just all it takes is like 2 minutes in the morning, you know, just to get your blood flowing a little bit, just doing some back. Just this little movement of you're using your muscles in the back to get them warmed up a little bit. A little bit of stretching, getting our joints going. You could be sitting down, and not everybody can get their leg way up on there, but just doing a little bit of stretching to limber our muscles up a little bit. Going up and getting your feet, you know, and you know, if you need to go into the bathroom and do it, if you feel silly doing it around other people. But it is really important to get our bodies loosened up a little bit, getting moving there before you go on the floor, because you know, you're very physically active out there and you're doing a lot of physical activity that you need to do to warm your muscles up a little bit. So wanted to stress a little bit on that. Go ahead, you can talk a little bit now.
Oh, okay. All right, so you're gonna go into the patient's room. You started work, you You know, you could even do your warm-up exercises when you're getting morning report. You know, it only takes a few seconds, and do a few stretches, and then by that time, you're ready to go. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna approach the patient's room. You're gonna put a smile on your face like you're really happy to be there. And you're gonna walk in and you're gonna say, hello, good morning, how are you today? Wait for them to answer, and then we're gonna get up for the day. And because that approach is gonna make all the difference with them helping you. If you walk in, well, I don't wanna say a sourpuss, but you know, not happy, you, for whatever reason, and you come in, you don't say anything, you walk up, and you throw the clothes on the bed, and you start grabbing their arm, and you start putting the stuff on. And that person, if they have some dementia, is gonna say, what is going on? What's happening? I don't know what's going on. This strange person comes in, grabs my arm, and they're pulling on me. You know, they don't know what time of the day it is. They don't know if it's breakfast. Give them a heads up. Let them know. It's breakfast time. We're gonna get up for the day. When we walk in, you'd be surprised. When we walk into George, when we walk into George's room, we both knock as we come in. Hi, George. How are you doing today? If he's sleeping, he's not there. We woke him up. We got smiles on our faces. Wow, how are you doing? We're gonna get up today. And we never have a problem getting him up. He always gets up for us. He walks into the bathroom with us. He helps us get dressed. He can put his slacks on. He can put his shirt on with just giving him a setup. So his slacks a little bit of help, but he needs that. He needs that, yeah, let's go. Let's go. And we haven't, and that's pretty typical. Once in a while, we'll have somebody that's pretty resistant, but yep.
That's the
Approach
thing
him with a
too.
smile. Nope,
That's,
great.
you know, that's the thing too, you know, when you tell the people what you're going to do with them, it, you know, you can kind of, when you're doing that, it lets that person know what's going on, and then plus you can also think about it in your mind, and you can kind of plan out the process, because you want to make sure that they're on the same page as you are, and they know what they're going to do. We're going to get up, we're going to get dressed, you know, and just giving out those verbal cues. You know, and one of the things too is that when you're doing that, you can assess the person. Each day you're going to find out that people are different from day to day. Some people have good days, some days bad days, and there could have been something happened during the night. There could have been a stroke. You know, maybe that person fell out of bed and somehow got back into bed, or you know, something could have happened in the night that changed their status from what they were the day before. So we want to be always constantly assessing them and reporting on that too. And also reporting to Jewel and I, that's something that we really rely on you guys for, to let us know if there's a problem, and maybe we can help out with that. If somebody's not transferring quite as well, or maybe somebody's having difficulty accomplishing something or doing something else, let us know on those things too.
And it helps us too,
Yeah.
because when we approach that patient, we're gonna keep in mind that, Ashley told me that this person is really complaining of their right knee today, having trouble getting up, and she's just giving us the heads up. That really helps us out, because we know when we go to that patient, if their right knee is hurting, well, if we can't, per their diagnosis, we'll transfer to the left side, because it'll be a lot easier for them. And that's the thing that, you know, I don't know how much contact you have, but I really think the more information you have about that patient and their diagnosis, because it's going to make a big difference in how you approach that patient, how they get dressed. An example is, and we've got 2 of them right now, people that have had hip replacements and they're on total hip precautions. And I'm just gonna pass around this sheet, but it tells you there are hip precautions. You know, you wanna maintain 90 degrees at the hip. So if that person wants to help you get dressed, or you're helping that person, you're not gonna bring that leg up. You're gonna maintain that 90 degrees at the hip. It's gonna be like an L. Or you can have it, well, I don't know what letter that would be, but anyway, it would be long. It would go greater than 90, but not less than 90. You're not gonna want, and we ran into this today, a lady that was standing and she stood with her surgical foot on top of her other foot and was internally rotating in. Well, that's really against her total hip precautions, and we have to do education that you cannot do that.
And she was very surprised, because she's, even though we've been told that, but when she goes in like this,
Look at his hip, how it just
going
starts
in like
turning
that,
in.
and that's, when she, total hip precautions, they say that that hip should stay in alignment. The reason for that is that it can dislocate, pop out if she crosses her legs like that. That's a big no-no too.
Yeah,
And this is like, they call it external rotation, it could pop it out. And then the same thing with getting up over 90 degrees, it puts too much stress on the hip joint too early. So,
yeah,
So can you use a Hoyer for that, when you get the leg up if you use the Hoyer?
well, that's kind of like a double-edged sword. Only as a last resort. You don't want that pressure, and that's one of the things, there's a lady in Maple Lane, so we brought an abductor pillow, which goes between the knees, and that keeps the hips in alignment, so you don't get them
She don't
too
keep
far.
it on. Try to take it out.
we just, you know, at this point, when she's sitting, when she's laying, she's probably gonna be okay. Especially because she's got those blue boots on, which will keep her feet pointed up. And Kevin's gonna talk a little bit about positioning with those and why that wedge is there. But, we just wanna use it when she's gonna transfer in the Hoyer. Because the Hoyer has a tendency to bring you up and cocoon you in.
Yeah.
And there's different loops on it, and you can use the loops that will be looser on the legs so she can maintain that L shape. And the adductor wedge will keep her legs apart and hips in position when you transfer. But, and like Kevin said, it was kind of the least resort. She couldn't transfer, she couldn't, when we did this, I went with physical therapy on the second eval and helped them. She couldn't even stand at that point. And so she was so fatigued. It was safer for us to use the Hoyer, and it was safer for the staff. Because I'll tell you, when physical therapy and I got done working with her and doing the eval with them, our backs hurt, trying to get her to stand. And so, yeah, sometimes we've gotta use the best choice we have available to us.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then actually, these boots, they have kind of like what you call like a kickstand that goes this way. It seems like a lot of people that you see when they're laying in bed, their foot's either gonna roll in, and it seems like mostly it'll roll in. And we wanna keep that toe pointing towards the ceiling. So, I know when we went down to see a certain lady, it was great that this was sitting like that, so that it keeps her foot from rolling in, it keeps it straight. Because if it's out constantly rolling like that in, it's gonna start to, to feel better that way. And it's gonna become accustomed to being in that position, so then we're gonna have to do a lot of stretching to go in the other way, which can be painful, so.
So where was the wedge when you saw, when she's laying in bed, where's the wedge position?
Well, we don't want it to
In the
roll
middle,
in.
I think.
So it was on the inside, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, we don't have our residents positioned on their backs, we have them positioned side to side. So
And then-
where do you want it?
Well, let's get into that too. Then if we want that patient positioned on their side, and that's the thing too, a good point, that we want to reposition people every 2 hours. Then probably the best thing when they're repositioned on their side is to put a pillow between their knees. You're gonna, since, say this person is a right hip, you're gonna position them probably on their left hip, probably
I meant
first.
the boots.
Oh, the
We're
boots?
talking about the boots,
Oh,
because I've seen
then-
Marcia in bed with the boots
you wanna-
and it just looked terrible.
Well, then it's not gonna matter so much as far as the boot, as far as that, just so it's not in the way. But then, when you're positioning a hip patient in there, you wanna keep those hips in alignment so that they're not going in together like that. You wanna keep that same amount, and actually, well, I could lead into something else, but when you're laying them sideways, you're gonna put a pillow between their knees, to keep that equal space in there so that the hips are still, even
And
all
do
the way
you
through.
see that here?
Sometimes, I would say that I see it all the time, but yeah, there are some people that are good at it, though, yeah. And, and then laying, on the affected side, they might not be able to tolerate that, so you're probably not gonna go to full side lying, maybe just getting off that side a little bit. And then what we'd wanna do is position, with a pillow behind these. But, let's kind of jump up here too, and one of the things too, we have electric beds here, and we always want to bring, even when you're doing cares, you want to make sure that you got the bed up into a height that you're comfortable to work with. For moving people up in bed, you want to make sure that you're at a height that you're comfortable to work with. And when you're doing things like positioning that way, that you're at a good height too. So.
Okay, the other diagnosis that we see that we want you to be aware of is people that come in with back surgery or that come in with a lot of low back pain. We don't get them up by having them just sit up in bed. We do log rolling, which allows the back to maintain a straight position. You roll them to the side, and once they're laying on their side, you have them help you and you bring them up into sitting. The back always stays straight and we've protected whatever is causing the problem. And so we do a lot of education with patients so that when they leave here, they are log rolling. So,
Should I demonstrate a log roll?
yeah.
It's even like, anybody, that's injured their back, I mean, it could be somebody 20 years old that injured their back, that's what they teach them any place. Basically, a log roll is like Jewel was saying, you don't want to twist. If I was to lay down like this, you can see right now my spine is twisting. So in order to avoid that, I want to get back as far as I can, and I'm going to lower myself down. I'm keeping my back in alignment and getting down, and then I'm going to bring my knees up, or my feet up, and then roll to my back, and then reposition myself in. And then getting up, I roll to my side again, bring my feet off, and then push myself up, keeping my back, so I'm not twisting my spine. That's really important with people that have had compression fractures or any kind of spinal repair, that they maintain that. And as of late, we've had a number of people like that with corsets and braces. So you've gotten familiar with, a lot of people here have gotten familiar with bracing, or turtle shells, TSLO braces.
Yep.
So, and that's one of the things too, is knowing the person, their precautions for some of those people, like with back injuries. The biggest reason they have either a corset or one of those turtle shell braces is to prevent forward flexion because of the injury. It has to take time to heal, and we want to keep that back secure so that it can heal. If we're disrupting the repair on there, it's going to take a lot longer to heal, plus it's going to increase the pain with the person when they transfer too.
And a lot of times when you come in and you're gonna say, hi, we're gonna get up, and what we always say is, we want you to help. We need you to help us. And the first thing they do is they give you their arm to help pull them up. Yeah, no, that's not good. That's not good. Shoulders are not meant to be.
Or if they go like Matt.
Yeah. So, we don't pull on arms to get people to sit up.
And we don't let people grab you around the neck and pull themselves up either.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna end up with a neck injury then.
Yeah, you're gonna help that person by going down and helping them up by the back. Like a hug, yeah. And slowly get them up. Now, we've got halos on the bed, and we like to use halos a lot. They work for two things. They work with helping rolling patients, because if we go over, I raise the bed, but I go over and just take the back and the shoulders and just start pulling them and say, okay, use your right hand and bring it over and hold on to this and pull yourself over. Once they're over there, sitting up is going to be so much easier. And 9 times out of 10, the patients are willing to help you with that if they can. All you have to do is ask, help me with this, let's get you up. And again, going the other way. The other thing is to help, they hold on to this to help sit themselves up on the edge of the bed, or when they're transferring, to hold on and sit down. So,
And people really like those, once they, find the way, what works for them, and everybody's gonna be a little bit different where they're, how they use them and positioning of their hands, but once they get the knack of it, they really use them a lot.
and you'll see the difference in them once they've been in therapy for a while. You'll see that, boy, you were really helping them a lot, and then pretty soon, you have less help. All you have to do is ask them, and they're helping quite significantly, and pretty soon they can do it themselves. So,
And has there been anybody in here who hasn't moved since we started here at? 'Cause I mean, that's one thing, if we're sitting here for like 5 or 10 minutes, I said, we're always constantly moving, and that's a natural thing to reposition ourselves. They say that if you do not move or reposition yourself within every 2 hours, that you could have almost permanent damage in your nerves and your buttocks. So that's why we always move people every 2 hours, because as we get older and people aren't able to reposition themselves, you come back to the same person, they're laying exactly in the same spot. They do need to move around a little bit. And for some people, we have the air mattresses, and some other people we have to reposition.
all right. So now you have your patients sitting on the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
Now we need to get them into the wheelchair.
So how are we gonna get them in the wheelchair?
What? What did you say?
Some people, if we're lucky, have a person that can just say, well, time to get up, and they'll get up and go right to the wheelchair. But one of the things that I see a lot of is footrests. The footrests are important for a person so that their feet aren't dangling, and also keeping debris out of them. But sometimes if people want to have footrests, they kind of get into this position here. The people that are propelling, if they don't need footrests, and actually, they're propelling themselves, we'd rather not see the footrests. But in a room, if the footrests are left like that, the person's getting out of the chair, they're definitely a hazard to get out. I like to get them out of the way when I'm doing transfers.
Take them off.
All right.
Before you transfer your patient, you need to get that pad out of the way. The one that's laying on the floor in front of the bed to protect them. If you have a patient that has some balance issues, some eyesight problems, some dementia, they're gonna step on that and it's gonna cause them to go out of balance. So you wanna get those out of the way.
Is there any of those mats on the floor in Maple Lane? I didn't know if they had them anymore there. But that's one thing too, I am really guilty of how people see, because you always expect the person to see the way that you see. And so many of these people that we work with, their eyesight is nothing like what we see.
Absolutely. So, we're sitting on the edge of the bed, you're gonna bring the wheelchair over, or if the patient is able to ambulate a little bit and you have a little bit of extra time, which I know doesn't happen very often. But, I like giving them the walker, have a transfer belt on them, and, you want to put your transfer belt on? You know, are there transfer belts in each room?
No,
Okay.
you're supposed to have your own,
Oh,
not everybody gets.
okay. Do you have to buy them?
No, you're supposed to provide some.
Okay. I just, you don't, how do you keep it then if you have your own?
You have a locker.
Your locker, your mailbox, stick it in the drawer.
I have a drawer.
Okay. You just don't see many of them, so I was just wondering where they were
Because
stored.
they're not
But
using
they're,
them.
they're really, really important if,
It's
like
a
say Jewel
uniform
tripped
blood,
or something,
but
and
where
I,
you need taking
you know, if she,
it down.
if there isn't a gate belt, the only thing I can do is grab her arm,
Yeah.
you know, or I'm grasping for something, you know, and if I grab her arm and say Jewel was 85 years old and,
I had a humeral fracture.
yeah, you know, I'm gonna be grabbing on that and I'm gonna probably do more damage to her. Plus, she's probably gonna end up falling anyway because I'm not gonna be able to hold on to her like with her arm here, it's gonna slip out. And if I have a gait belt, just having that on there when I walk people, you know, just if they start to fall, it just, I can catch that, adjust that balance, and maybe that's all it needs is to prevent a fall. Maybe they're going backwards or forwards, or maybe they're gonna step away from something, or trip over something.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is that I don't know how many times we do it. We've got patients that are, they've fallen already, and so they're scared. And they're gonna need a gate belt. And they'll just be, oh, little steps, I'm so scared. You know, I don't know how many times we'll have the hands up and we shake it and say, we've got you. You're not going anywhere. We've got you and you're not gonna fall. And they can feel that stability, that security, and they will be more likely to take steps with you and to transfer.
Because if you get somebody that gets really fearful of you, they're gonna be grabbing, they're gonna put both of you at risk for falling.
Yep. So, okay,
Well,
we'll put the wheelchair, do you wanna talk about which way to transfer?
okay. Most people are gonna have a stronger side, especially if somebody has a hip fracture on the right. Obviously, you wanna transfer to their left side as much as possible. In some of the rooms, the way the beds are positioned, you may be transferring to their strong side, getting out of bed and maybe probably not into bed. If possible, if there is room, all we have to do is move the chair over to the other side and we can solve that problem. Say my strong side was my right, I'd be going this way to transfer in, and then if I want to transfer back to my right, going this way. So that's an easy way to resolve that. So if all possible, we always want to transfer to the strong side. Getting up out of the bed, we always want the person to scoot out to the edge. Bed height is very important. A lot of times, you want to make sure that person's getting up and always transferring to a lower surface, so you want your bed obviously higher than the chair. Getting up then, you want to give a lot of verbal cues. Let her know, or him know, that we're transferring to this wheelchair. A lot of times we find that people sometimes take longer to understand what we're talking about, that we're gonna do a transfer to there, so let them to digest that and know what's gonna go on, that we're gonna stand up and then turn If possible too, if they need to use the bathroom, I like to see people walk into the bathroom. And you've got everything, you've got the water there, everything else, so. But then getting up, then we wanna get scooted out to the edge of your seat. Your feet always have to be back, and, there's a walker here, didn't we? Then if we have a walker, still like have them push up from the bed, and then stand up, then turn, reach back, and then go ahead and sit. So,
One of the reasons we like to use walkers when they transfer, because people will transfer from the bed to the wheelchair. But what we typically see is, I'm just showing what we see when people use, is that, they throw themselves in the chair or they crawl. It's crawl, I'm gonna crawl over here, and sometimes they don't know which hand to use, and so,
Oh, I've got one other one to
oh,
show you too.
okay.
Where they'll get up and they're gonna go, instead of going like this, they're gonna go.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they gotta do the whole circle.
I don't know why they do that. It's really fascinating.
But the walker just keeps them pointing in a good direction and allows you to steer them.
And it gives them, people love to have something to hang on to.
Mhm.
In fact, you'll find some people that'll hang on to it so well that when they sit down in the chair, they'll still be hanging on to it. But, another couple of things that we brought are the pivot disc, and probably most people are accustomed or familiar with this. The pivot disc is for people, there's a lot of people out there that they're probably easy to stand, but then getting them to move their feet. And this will help you eliminate that if they can't move their feet, you can move their feet for them. Turning like that, because what we want to avoid is twisting like that. Because, I don't know how many times you've read probably in the paper or heard about somebody's grandma or grandpa falling and they said, gee, his hip was broke before he even hit the ground. And it wasn't the fall that broke it, it was the twisting that broke the hip. So this is a good thing to have. Every once in a while, you want to make sure that you get the bottom of this clean. It's got that stick and stuff on there, but it will slide. And you want it to be positioned, so kind of imagine where their feet are going to end up when you get them standing up. And then a lot of times too, that's going to be probably a transfer too, just getting up and then just pivoting over and then just having them sit, same way back. Slide board.
Can you talk about, well, you get that. For a patient to transfer, once they're coming to sitting, you want them to sit fairly close to the edge, so only half of their butt is on the mattress or the edge of the chair. So if they're sitting on a chair, you're going to ask them to scoot forward a little bit. Then you're going to have them bring their feet back so that momentum will help them stand.
He was doing this.
Who's that?
Kevin.
Oh, yeah. He's strong enough, he can do that. But
I didn't mean to.
for most of our patients, there you go. And so you're gonna have their feet go back. And I'll tell you, sometimes we physically move their feet back and put our foot in front of theirs so they can't put it back to where they originally had it. And then you're going to have them lean forward and up. And if you have weak muscles in here, you're gonna have a dickens of a time getting up.
Or if you have a person that's resistant and they arch their back and go away from you, then you're gonna have a dickens too. And that's where definitely two people are gonna take.
I'm just
Back.
saying, now that's.
Because you're gonna try and get that person up, and then they're arching their back to get away from you, and then you basically, when you're trying to stand that person up, they come up and they're just like a 2x4. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, getting your feet back like that. And a lot of times people, then they wanna bring their feet out again
Oh,
too,
yeah.
so
As
you
soon as
block
you
them.
turn around.
But yeah, getting, you know, your feet back, your nose over your knees, and, you know, it's so easy to stand up, much easier. If you try and stand up like that, much more difficult.
That's how Julia stands up. She's a pain to get up.
Julia?
Cause she always puts her feet out and she stands like this.
Oh, man,
you know?
that is, she's always did that.
Mhm.
When she first came here, she did that.
Yeah.
Years.
She's, yep, you gotta stand in front of her feet if you can.
I'm just gonna touch bases on the slide board a little bit. A slide board would be, I would say, used for someone who's really difficult, or could be non-weight bearing on one leg, is very weak and deconditioned. The slide board basically acts as a bridge. You want, you know, a typical or a appropriate person that you would be using would be someone who could assist. You'd like someone to be able to assist to pull themselves over. The bed right now, we wanted to get adjusted a little bit more. I want to be always going downhill. And I'm gonna actually move the chair a little bit so it's more. And basically, you want to have a good surface for the person to slide to, and a good surface for onto the bed so that there's no risk. But we're so close right now. A lot of times we get to people so that they're so good that all they have to do is go like this. Like say if I was non-weight bearing on my left leg, or my right leg, say, because we want to transfer this, the strong side, I could just go like this. We've had a number of people that have been able to do that. With the slide board, just acting as a bridge, I'm going to be non-weight bearing on my right side, getting over there. And actually, Yannick, I would raise the bed up just a little bit so I can go downhill.
And once you have them, sit back in the bed. You're gonna move him over and you're gonna shove that under. Then you're going to take your belt to maintain your body mechanics, and you're gonna have them slowly help you slide. Keep your toes pointed, and then down into the chair.
Oh, and that slid right in there, and then wiggle the board out.
And you can do heavy people.
Yeah, I love slide board transfers. I do a lot of them, and they work really good. Saves your back.
I know it's not, from what we've heard, I don't know, but I've heard that it's not the most favorite transfer for people to do.
And some
You
people,
have to have enough upper body strength to help.
No,
in
you
order to
don't.
use one.
No,
can't
you don't,
launch yourself over
because,
there.
no, because they slide, and so your bed is your friend. You know, you're gonna go down no matter which way. Because here, going down into the chair, you're sliding it down, the patient down, and then when you're gonna get them back into bed,
Okay, where's the second person stand in? The first person's in front, and where do you want the second person?
you don't necessarily need two
You have to
people.
have two people.
Oh,
yeah, a lot. Most of the people, we start out with 2 people now.
then I
So
would,
do you want one
I
on
would
each
have
side of
one
the belt?
person behind.
yep,
Maybe this is what it
Um,
put
You
your
know,
knee
and
on,
actually, yeah,
yep.
and then we wanna, you know, that's saying too, like, I always compare this, to, like, if you're getting groceries out of the back of your trunk of your car, put your knee right in there, cause you're reaching in and like that, but same thing here. Even if you're reaching on a bed, we don't want you to put your feet on there, but you can certainly put your knee on there to stabilize yourself, I do that all the time. But, so now we're gonna transfer this, so there's one person in front, one person back. I can hold on to the transfer board, and, you know, and I'm not gonna really pull that person, I'm just gonna kinda give a little bit of assistance to help with the slide.
Yeah, but if their pants are wet,
Yeah,
they're not gonna slide. It's-
and so that's one of the things too, I know we've talked about that, there are people that are able to do slide board transfers from the bed to the wheelchair, but then to the bathroom or commode, you know, and then it's not gonna work because you have to have the pants down. for the bathrooms.
Oh, I thought you had upper body strength in order to use that so that they aren't
Oh, the patient.
blocking, yeah.
Yeah,
patient.
well, they have to be able to maintain a sitting
And to
balance.
be able to
And
shove
they
that
need-
cord under and.
Well, yeah, but not initially. You know, we can work on upper body strength, because they're not going to automatically do it right at the beginning. You will be helping them, but as they go through therapy and get stronger, then we work on them being able to transfer themselves. If cognitively they can do that. And that's the big thing that we work with in a nursing home is cognition. If they can learn new things and be able to problem solve, so.
Any questions for people about transfers, anything that you saw that you questioned, maybe it's right, or
Yeah.
that doesn't work for you, or what things are problems?
Some of you have worked up, oh, sorry about that.
That slide where you wanna show us how you hang on to it, so the thing don't go sliding out from under the resident?
I could pretend to be the resident if you want.
Okay.
Because a lot of them, I don't think, they hold on to the deal here, they don't hold on to the tab.
Oh, you mean the pivot board?
Yeah,
Look at this.
yeah, the pivot.
Oh, the pivot
Oh.
disc.
I've done, with two people, then just one person, you're talking the pivot disc though?
Yeah.
What is your question?
Where do our
When I
feet
go
go?
in it.
The tab. The tab.
We were on the wrong thing, we were still on the sliding.
No.
Because if you get the
Yep.
resident to stand up and they decide they're gonna do this,
That's right.
the slide, that thing is gonna go right out from
Yes.
underneath.
Yeah.
Sometimes what I do is I stand on this. That's one of the things I brought up about
Yeah.
making sure it's clean underneath.
Yep.
If it's that much of a problem, we can get dice on to put on there. One of the things I've done too before for people that are really kind of leery or afraid of falling is I put a belt on and let them hang on to that too. Then they can stand
I
up.
thought we were supposed to anyway.
Well, the belt
Not
on
for
them,
you.
but I put the belt on
Puts
me
on-
for
Oh,
them to
on
hold on
yourself.
to.
Yeah, for the
Like,
patient to hold on to.
say that a walker isn't gonna really, it's gonna be in the way more of an inconvenience. I would have them hold on to the belt here. And a lot of people, I know, there was one particular lady I worked with, and just having her, she wanted something to hold on to and, something that she could really feel supported and safe with, and that worked really good for her.
Not that she pulled so much on it, but she just needed that security that
So it was-
if something happened, it would be there.
So did
So-
you have
I
your foot
would-
on the board while you were having your hold on?
Yes.
Or-
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would, for me, I would,
yes,
if I had to,
yeah.
if I had to do that, I would go that way, and then I would get her standing up, and then pivot her.
Do you want to
Once
do
you get-
another?
Once you get that person's weight on there too, it's the problem that's gonna slide, is like at this point here, when you're getting them up, is when it's gonna slide away from you. Once you get that person, get it to slide.
See how it
Yeah,
stays in
oh,
place?
yeah.
But once you get up like this, upright, then you're gonna be okay.
As long as the person is standing there and they're not.
Right, and that's why you need assisted too.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you've got people that use one leg, stand on
Yep.
one leg.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That their balance is already off.
Yep, is already. But yeah, we did where it's taken a walker and a wheelchair and both of us, and we physically had to move the feet to get on and then hold it and say, okay, we're gonna do this, one step directions. Otherwise, it was a lot of work. We did one step directions, and that's, if you've got a cognitively impaired person and you want them to help you, it's like, don't say, okay, let's get into bed here. It's going to be, okay, can you give me your hand, let's put it here. Okay, we're gonna stand, help me stand up. And then once they're there, then you're gonna make them take one step, move the other leg, it's gonna be one step directions. And all of this is gonna take you extra time. And I know that you guys are busy, I know that you guys have a lot of people to see and a lot of things to do. But to be safe, to have that patient work with you, it just takes a little bit of extra time. Especially people on Maple Lane. You move fast, you talk fast, and they're going to be agitated and they're not gonna work with you at all. They're gonna put up their heels and they're gonna say, that's it, no more.
A lot of other people on other units might.
Say that too.
Other things.
Yeah. So, one-step directions, break the task down into one step at a time. And it works.
And keep your, and when you're talking to some of your commands, keep them simple and try and say as little as possible, saying as much as you can. That makes sense? Because you don't want to give this lengthy explanation of what you're gonna do, keep it really simple and talk through it, and then it also helps you know what you're gonna do too. Yeah.
And just really quick, we're gonna look at wheelchair positioning. Most of our wheelchairs, the arms should be removable or
How exactly did you do that, by the way?
These
There's-
are just at the button, I love these, because these are,
yeah, those are the best.
those are great for transfers. You get this out of there because the armrest get in the way.
Yeah.
Just like that wheelchair.
Some they have two buttons, and you have to push them in and pull it up, and then they both come out. And then that just comes off.
And these are also adjustable too.
Yeah, the height. This is the cat, one of the categories, because most don't have. So that's good. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Placing the insulation back here.
So, and of course, we need a cushion. And we have different kinds of cushions. We have just the regular gel cushion. And then and those are your basic. And then you move up into, okay. Contoured. Yeah, they're contoured. There's some that are wedged, help so they don't slide out, but that's not what I'm looking for. It's, pressure relief. That's what I was looking for. Pressure relief, yep. It's where you end up having, you can have like the Rojo, which has pockets of air that will allow the air to get to the bottom, and we use those mostly when we have patients that have open areas on their bottoms. But we also have like honeycombs, those have small pockets of air, and then there's more specific gel cushions that will provide that support for pressure relief, so we don't have skin breakdown. We want to make sure that when a person is sitting in the wheelchair, and if you look at all of you, well, no, I take that back, some of you, you're sitting in your chairs kind of straight. You're not like this, like Kevin had said before, because that, if you have a patient that's gonna slide down like that all the time, they're gonna end up having shearing on their bottom, and that's just constant pulling down. They'll end up having sores there. So you wanna make sure that they're seated back far enough, their feet are flat on the floor, and, yeah.
Sitting with all their weight on one cheek. A lot of times I
Yes.
see, sometimes with Hoyers, you get a person in there and they get pulled over this way, or I
Yeah.
don't know, sometimes they end up just getting into the chair wrong.
Yeah, where
They're
they're
putting
sitting
all
on
their
one
weight-
bottom, one butt.
Yep, God gave us two
One
cheeks, so.
cheeks. Yep. So we wanna make sure that they're in there straight, so that they have good support on each side.
But there's people that no matter what you do, they still go on the side.
Yeah, there are some that do that. You know, if they consistently do that, we need to maybe get them a special, have them come in and get a specialized cushion, pressure map, and they can make them a cushion so that, you know, for whatever reason, if it's their hip that's kind of, the hip bones are out of alignment, or the hip, they can make a cushion that will fit them, so that they can sit straight.
When Jules had, there's a gentleman, Travis, from Custom Medical, he has, they do pressure mapping for specialized chairs for people that
Yeah.
have special needs.
So, any questions? We cover a lot of stuff, and, you know, typically you would go to a workshop and they talk about this for 6-7 hours. And, what?
I think Heather had a question already. Okay, Ashley, I mean. No, sure.
So, approach us if you have a question, if you have somebody that's transferring difficult, more difficult than they have been or whatever, give us a call. You know, you see us walking around enough, just stop us and we can come in and transfer that patient for you and take a look at what's going on.
Yeah, and anytime if you're doing a transfer and you don't feel comfortable with it, talk to nursing and then we'll get a hold of us and we'll come
They
down.
say do it anyway. I was a witness to that.
Not all nurses do that though.
If they have a resident, they want it done a certain way, they say you have to do it that way.
If we're,
There was 4 of us taking a guy off the floor in about this much space one day.
Yep.
And I sat on the floor next to him, pushing him up so we could get him buckled in. How good was that for my back? But we had to. We fought it, and we had to.
Yep. Well,
So the nurses' aides need to be more involved in being able to control their own back situations and not have somebody say, well, you have to do this anyway.
you know, a lot of times, well, I can't say a lot of times, but many times, you're looking at the clock, 2 minutes, we got 2 minutes. Many times, I've had CNAs walk up to me and say, you know, what's going on with that guy? I can't